And joining us now is the former Secretary of Defense during the Bush administration, Donald Rumsfeld, who has just recently released his memoir entitled Known and Unknown. He's donating all proceeds to charity. He's on the eastern shore of Maryland this morning. Mr. Secretary, nice to have you back on Face the Nation. Let me just start with this. How do you think the administration is handling this? Are you pleased with the way they're doing it?
Well, my goodness, the close coordination between the intelligence community and our special operations forces is absolutely perfection. And it's been truly a joint operation which speaks well to the capabilities that have been developed over a period of time. And I would have to add that the decision by the President was, in my view, the right decision.
Well, what do you think about the way they've handled this information? They seized this big cache of documents. Some people say maybe they should have kept some of that to themselves, at least for a while.
Well, I wasn't there, so I can't say precisely what my reaction would be, but looking at it from afar, it seems to me that most of the information about the intelligence has come out of the White House by people who've later had to change their mind because of the fog of war, and not out of the Pentagon. And of course, the people in the Pentagon worry about the lives of the men and women who serve. And the more information that goes out about intelligence, the greater the risks to our people, and the less likelihood we're going to be able to capture or kill some of the people who would result from the intelligence take there. So I would have preferred a lot less discussion out of the White House about intelligence, personally. My guess is that people in the Pentagon feel that way.
We learned yesterday that bin Laden was still very much at the center of the Al-Qaeda operations. Did that surprise you? I mean, a lot of us thought, well, he was, hiding in some cave somewhere. Maybe he wasn't a factor, but clearly he was a factor. We now know, apparently.
It certainly appears that that's the case, and I think most people realize that he was enormously important. He was the face of Al-Qaeda terror. He was important in fundraising, recruiting, and clearly a mastermind in terms of operations. Now, obviously, he had to spend a lot of time not being caught, so he wouldn't get down into the nitty-gritty, one would think, but clearly a critically important factor in the success Al-Qaeda's had.
What do you think of the fact that here he was right in the middle of this town, right next to a military facility, and the Pakistanis didn't seem to know about it? You think that's possible, or did they know?
I think it is possible, and I don't know whether they knew, and I think we ought to be asking the questions that you're asking and that Senator Kerry's asking. However, if you go from the Pentagon up the Potomac River, and look at those big estates up there with gated walls and trees and hidden from sight. We don't know what's going on there. And it is possible that someone like that with a support system, Al-Qaeda support system, in my view, very likely could hide in plain sight. I mean, if you think about it, Aldrich Ames, a spy for the Soviet Union, was in the Central Intelligence Agency for years. And the people who were responsible for rooting out spies saw him regularly and didn't know he was a spy. So, I mean, these things are possible. Now, nonetheless, I think Senator Kerry's correct. We do need to make sure we ask the questions and find out if there were people in the ISI, most likely, who had knowledge of that. I have no way to know whether or not that's the case. We do know that people in the ISI from time to time have had dealings with the Taliban and with other Al-Qaeda leaders.
Do you think, Mr. Rumsfeld, that this does justify the use of enhanced interrogation that was such a controversial thing during your administration?
Well, if you think about it, you've had 3 directors of the Central Intelligence Agency who have said that the intelligence take from the 3 people that the CIA waterboarded, the Department of Defense waterboarded nobody, and nobody was waterboarded at Guantanamo, despite the myth that's built up. But three CIA directors, George Tenet, Porter Goss, and General Hayden, have all said that the take from those 3 people that were waterboarded constituted a major fraction of all our knowledge about Al-Qaeda. The fourth CIA director, Leon Panetta, has said very recently on television that some of that information was part of the patchwork or mosaic that led to the attack on Osama bin Laden. So I think that it's clear that those techniques that the CIA used worked. And to have taken them away and ruled them out, I think may be a mistake. I would add, however, that I think that the Department of Justice investigation into the CIA operatives who were involved with enhanced interrogation techniques is a most unfortunate thing. These people were operating at the direction of the president. They were doing things that had been approved by the Department of Justice, and it sends a chill throughout the government in terms of not just the CIA people, but also the military people, that they're going to have to get lawyered up if they do something. Imagine if a year from now or 2 years from now there's a new president in and he decides to have investigations on the decision that President Obama had to attack OBL and have him shot. I agree with Senator Kerry. They did the right thing, the Navy SEALs and the Special Operations people, and we ought to set that aside and go on with life.
So where do we go with Pakistan now?
Well, we need to ask the questions that are being asked, and we need to recognize, as was said, that we supply our coalition forces in Afghanistan from Pakistan. We have damaged our relationships up with Uzbekistan on the northern border, and we need to maintain those relationships. We've been able to do a great many things, some with their open cooperation, some with their silent acquiescence, and it's a complex problem they've got. It's a Muslim country. They have nuclear weapons. They have problems with the tribes on both sides of the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. It is not an easy thing. They've lost a lot of their soldiers trying to get control of the federally administered tribal areas, the so-called FATA. So and they do legitimately worry about India. I mean, I should say it's not legitimate. It may not be a legitimate worry, but it is very true that they do worry about the Kashmir area, and that's a problem. So we have to work with them and recognize the complexities.
All right. Well, Mr. Secretary, it's fun to have you back on the broadcast today. Thank you so much.